Hello and welcome everyone. We are here for Monday Mindset and we're going to be talking today about our industry, one of my favorite subjects actually. I began being absolutely not at all my favorite subject, and now it is an amazing subject. I realize that this is literally the Independence Day week. I am sure that many of you are going to be watching the recording of this, so I thank you for that and I appreciate it. I thank you that you even watch it on the recording, because I actually was late today. I have a little adventure partner with me this summer, and I put her in one of our Cody, Wyoming parades. And we have actually 3 parades. We have one on the 2nd, the 3rd, and the 4th. And on the 2nd, it's just for children. Then on the 3rd and 4th, it's the big parade and the Cody Stampede and all of that. So it's interesting that we're talking about our industry today and freedom and the U.S. Independence Day. Is very, very special. Today, all of you that are live, I'm going to ask a favor of you. It helps me train everyone. It helps everyone that watches the recording and everyone that you bring on to this call live. For you to actually not just like something, which is great, I love that, but if I am talking about a subject that's an aha for you or was an issue for you and now you've conquered that, or you need to conquer something that is meaningful to you, I won't be able to read them while I'm talking, but I absolutely will read them all after that. I will help, I will comment, but even just your comments are just as much training for everyone that's in this USANA family as things I'm going to train you on. So I'm going to go ahead and begin because I have a lot of material and I want to do it in a short period of time, never my best. I love what we do. I love USANA. I love this industry. I love our products, and I love the USANA family. So I'm bringing you years and years of experience. Again, a single mother from a little tiny town, Cody, Wyoming, 8,000 people. When I found USANA, I had lost my marriage. I had lost $75,000. I had 6 dream babies. They were my miracle babies. And I needed to stay home with them and continue my life the way that it was before the divorce and before tragedy, seriously. So USANA was the answer to 6 months of prayer, and it was the industry I couldn't actually accept. Therefore, I'm really happy, and I thank the administrators for asking me to do the industry, because you have no idea. I went for a year without actually agreeing that I was in network marketing. I loved USANA. I joined USANA, but I couldn't buy into the industry because I didn't understand it. After I was making a lot of money, and after going to a convention, my first convention, which I spoke about recently, after that, I decided I had better get myself knowledgeable about this industry and why this industry was where I was and why I loved the products and the money and USANA and why I was so gun shy about this industry. So I read 1 trillion books, and they weren't about USANA. Not one book was about USANA. Every book that I read at that time, now there's beautiful books written about USANA, but at that time we just were too new. We didn't have anything really written about us specifically. But some of my principles have come from the heart of those who were in network marketing. And I actually even sat on so many webinars or conference calls. It was conference calls actually at that time. Before I started doing those conference calls and webinars for the USANA family, I sat on so many as that baby, trying to learn, trying to understand. And I remember one man being interviewed that I was just listening. And he said, I was in the right race on the wrong horse. And he was in network marketing, but not in the right company. And I understood that. I caught that. So many of the things I'm going to tell you today are just personal experience, personal things that I've learned as I've gone along, things that mattered to me. I'm just going to pass them to you. And of course, this is a snippet. So maybe I can do more for you on this subject at another time. Isn't it interesting? You become a specialist in the areas that are the most difficult for you or the most challenging. So that's exactly what happened to me. I consider myself fairly a network marketing maybe specialist, and definitely a comp plan, really understanding USANA comp plan and the value of the USANA comp plan. So first of all, let's just answer the question quickly for all of you that are fairly new, and even some in my team that are going to be going through this training might not really understand what is network marketing and why are we in this industry and how is this different from something else that produces income. And I would just say that traditional business today, in our generation, our age, that traditional business is considered getting a job. And of course, thousands upon thousands of network marketers are going to tell you that the only answer as you raise children or they're growing up or you were growing up is not always get a good education, get a good job, and be paid for the rest of your life. That was our grandparents. That was our great-grandparents possibly. But they learned that job security and having a 40-year plan was the only way that they could function. Most of them lived through the Depression. They were very frightened of not having the right incomes. And so that was the story that began to be told. Son, daughter, go to college, get a good job, and stay in that job for 40 years. Well, you and I both know that no one does that today. Careers change, I think it's every 7 years, and jobs change. I think it's something like every 2 years, something like that, maybe less. I don't have the newest stats for you today, so forgive me on that. But, people don't even stay in the career that they go to college for. And part of the reason is they get out of college and they go into that career and go, oh my gosh, why didn't no one tell me all of the negatives of this career? I had one man who was a lead, a USANA lead, say to me, I had no idea. I was an engineer. I went through, I got my degree, I'm smart, I had no idea I was going to sit in a cubicle. Oh my gosh, I can't do that. I need to be outdoors. Why didn't he think of that in all those years of schooling? So the JOB, we call it, you'll see that written, you'll see just over broke. Why? Well, and what does that have to do with our industry? Well, just over broke, really, you think about it, it means you got to pay the bills this week, right? Or this month. And that's your job. You go to work and you spend all day, every day, 5, maybe 6 days a week, not 8 hours anymore. Now it's more like 10, 12, it depends on your commute. Some people, I live in Southern California, half the year, and the commutes there can be 2 to 4 hours a day. And so we look at how many hours you put in of your life. If you've got 24 hours a day, we all have equal hours. So it's all about the brilliance of how we handle them. So traditional business, traditional jobs means that you get in the car and you commute, or you do whatever you have to do to get hired for that job, keep that job, and get that paycheck for that job. And I'm thrilled for everyone who actually has an income. See, I don't believe in not working, so having an income is critical. Now we look back and we say, then why network marketing, and what's the difference in that versus a job? Many, many differences. Let's say that you and I and 200 of our friends got together and said, let's just do something different. And the moms would say, I really want to just stay home with my kids. I need an income, but I don't want to put my kids in daycare. We're spending all our income on daycare and eating out, and we're making nothing. And so I want to stay home with the kids. And the dad says, well, I'm sick of missing dance recitals and baseball games and family reunions and holidays. I'm missing my kids growing up. Not only am I not home with them, but I'm literally not even home with my family at all. I have no choices. And some of those are big income earners. Some of those people, the moms and the dads, might be making 5 and 6 figure incomes, maybe 7. But they're trading their entire life, their family, their life. They're trading every one of those precious moments And they're doing it, quote, quote, for the family, but when they really sit down and look at it, it's just not worth it. It's not that the family's not worth it, it's the hassle that's not worth it. It's the ladder climbing where someone has to die before you get a promotion. It's the rat race. It's the fact that no one is on the same team. You know, in USANA, we're in a team. In USANA, we're a community. In USANA, we're all for one and one for all, literally. I mean, we have cried. I've been at events. I remember one specific one. We're standing in the halls outside, and I am actually crying, and so is everyone in the hall, because we just found out that two people that we dearly loved went gold director. I still remember that. It still brings me to tears. You see, they're not in my team. They're not in my upline. They're not in my downline. They're part of our family, our USANA family. See, in a normal job, it's all about how can you beat out the other guy? How can you pass the other guy? And traditional jobs are going to always put a lot of different stresses on us. But isn't it interesting that people will go to work for 40 years, and in that 40 years, they're going to work hard. They're going to work so hard. They're going to stress all day at their job, and they're going to stress all night at home thinking about their job, and they're going to be on call 24/7, many of them. Many of them are hired at a yearly salary, which means we own you. If we tell you to go to Timbuktu, that's where you're going. If we tell you you're going to be gone from your family for 2 weeks, that my husband was an engineer. I know. We had no control. He was able to be there if he was there, and if he wasn't, he was gone. And there was no way that we could actually control our lives. We think about what we do in our industry. It's all about relationships. It's called relationship marketing. And relationship marketing means that you and I are building relationships, and we're moving product and changing lives all in one sweep. Now think about going to the store. If you go to a restaurant that you love, or you go to a store that you love, and you ask the person that owns it, would you rather advertise in the newspaper or on TV or on the radio or now the internet? Or would, you know, how would you prefer to advertise? Every one of them will say word of mouth. If you go tell your friends, 10 of them, about a great restaurant, all 10 of those friends are probably going to go eat there, but the restaurant doesn't send you a check. And so as we look at the networking industry, we're all about building relationships and spreading the word and networking. We are moving product around the world by building trust, with integrity, with honor. We're moving products around the world that are changing everyone's lives, and we're personalizing that. And so as we are moving those products, we're building a business. We're building an entrepreneurial business that is incredibly powerful. Now, when we look at, I'm going to bring up a couple people's names, Paul Zane Pilzer and Robert Kiyosaki. If you don't know about those authors, they are two of my favorites. Paul Zane Pilzer, Pilzer, wrote a book of just a few years ago. He's been somebody that we've studied and followed quite often. But a couple years ago, maybe 5 actually, he wrote a book called The Next Millionaires. And he said that, only in the last, few decades have we had the traditional job. You look at a couple of hundred years ago, 97% of all Americans were farmers. 97% of all Americans, probably less than 200 years ago, were farmers. The traditional jobs, as you and I know them, the trading hours for dollars, the being someone's slave and having a market value put on your head of this person's worth $12 an hour and this person is worth, $40,000 a year and this person's worth $100,000 a year, that has never been until the last, few years. And I apologize, I don't have the exact date on that right now. But he wrote that from the date that he wrote the book, which was a few years ago, not a lot of years ago, but a few, he said there would be 10 million new millionaires in this industry in the following 10 years, in that decade. We're in the middle of that decade. We're in the middle of that 10-year time where he has told us this is where you want to be. Because just as you guys have watched, Toys R Us just went out of business. What? I was devastated. I actually like to walk in, let my children and grandchildren choose toys, always did, always have, and they're gone because we're changing the way that we're buying products. That's what network marketing did. Network marketing went direct, at least those of us that are part of the direct sales industry, direct sales. We went direct from the manufacturer to the end user. We originated that. The network marketing industry is where that all began. You also know Dell Computers did that. They began to do that years ago, where everyone was walking in and buying a computer. They decided to go directly from where you designed it online, and then it was shipped out to you. So that's way new, very, very new. So that's part of our industry, is that we are not walking into a store. There is not the huge markup that is in a store on products like we have. And we also are able to have the money put into the hands of the little guy. I'm going to call you and I the little guy, because we don't have the trillions of dollars or the billions of dollars or millions of dollars or whatever it takes to put together a massive, massive company and buy all the equipment and hire all the scientists and hire all the people that work at that company. We don't have that money. A few $100s to buy our own USANA business and own that little pocket, that one that makes unlimited income if you want it to. We don't have to come up with that million. We don't have to come up with that jillion. We come up with a few $100s. We buy our own products every month, and that keeps our store open. This is the new way to do business. And that's what I learned when I was studying. I was like, oh my gosh, I would never, ever do traditional. I used to laugh and say, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to go sell shoes. Do you know how many shoes you have to sell to make the kind of money that I've made in this industry as a single mom? It's not possible. It's actually not doable. You would have to be a high, manager, traveling all over the world and living out of hotels for a shoe store to make the kind of money that I've made and most of my peers have made. So now let's look at another one. Robert Kiyosaki. Robert Kiyosaki has said, if you're not familiar with him, it's Kiyosaki. One of my favorite trainers, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. He's not a network marketer, but he wrote a great book about the business of the 21st century, which is our industry. But I use his cash flow quadrant the most. And I want you to draw it. If you've never seen it, I want you to draw it on your paper right now. I don't have a lot of time to go into it, but I want you to be thinking about our industry and who we are in USANA in relation to this cash flow quadrant. So it's a plus sign on your paper. And there's 4 little quadrants. So you've got 2 on the left and 2 on the right. On the left at the top, put an E. On the left on the bottom, put an S. On the right on the top, put a B, like boy. And on the bottom right, you're going to put an I. And he just said, after he wrote the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, that everyone came to him and said, I want to do what you've done. And he said he looked at their income, and he looked at their assets, and he looked at their debt, and he said, you can't, because you're stuck on the left-hand side of this quadrant. Now, I want you to take this subject very seriously, because USANA is right here, right where we're talking, and this is where the business model of network marketing and then the premier entrance of USANA into this industry, the premier entrance with Dr. Wentz and the products and the integrity and the honor and the value and the life changes, USANA entered an industry that you and I might go, oh, the good, bad, and the ugly. Yep. Restaurants, yep, the good, bad, and the ugly. Retail stores, yep, the good, bad, and the ugly. Well, when USANA entered into this industry, we were astonishingly different, unique, but here's why we have to be in this industry. The E quadrant, according to Robert Kiyosaki, is for employee. Well, if you're an employee of someone else, they own you and you know it. And I'm sorry, we'll get you out of there as fast as we can. Your team, your sponsor, your upline, the entire USANA family, and everyone at corporate, at a home office, our goal is to get you out of that job. But you've got to do it. We can't do it for you. We can do it with you. But that employee status gives you zero control. You are going to run out of hours, according to all stats, because you have to have a decent amount of sleep if you're going to survive. And if you get sick, you're going to be either fired or just on unemployment for a long time, right? So you have to sleep. So let's say that you've got, you can have 3 jobs, but you're going to run out of hours. And you're still going to run out of money, right? Everybody seems to. Now, an employee gets sick of it and says, I'm sick of my boss. I'm sick of the lack of income. I'm sick of the way they treat me. I'm sick of the rat race and the commutes. I'm going to become self-employed. I'm going to buy the hardware store, right? I'm going to dig in. I'm going to dive in. Well, it takes at least 6 years to turn a profit. And you're going to be out, thousands to hundreds of thousands of dollars for just a little hardware store. And then you're going to be replaced by Amazon on the hardware store, like Toys R Us. But let's say you're in business in a little town like mine and everyone loves you. You're still the owner, the shopkeeper, the janitor, the bookkeeper, the person who works at the desk because no one could come in that day. You're the sick relief. You're everything. That's a slave to your business. That's not USANA. It's not USANA. Now move up to that B business. Robert Kiyosaki says until you cross from the left-hand side of that quadrant over to the right-hand side of that quadrant, you cannot be wealthy. You cannot invest. invest. You don't have the funds. You don't have any disposable income that you can put into investments until you have found a B business. A B business is an entrepreneurial business. It is a network marketing business. It is a business that gives you freedom, residual income, passive income. It is USANA. And if USANA is at the top of this entire industry in product, and we know it is from the comparative guide, a year after 19 years, I believe, at the very top. And then you look at our comp plan, which is beautiful, and I'll talk about that in just a moment and just touch on it. But you look at that, and you look at our founder, and you look at our vision, you look at all that we have, and you say, you circle that B, and you say, I don't know what it's going to take to make this work, but I'm going to make it work. Because you can't stay on the left side of that quadrant, according to Robert Kiyosaki, and according to me. You can't stay there and ever have freedom. You can't choose your lifestyle. You can't choose where you're going to live. You can't choose to move. You can't choose to have more babies because you can't stay home with them. You can't afford them. You can't have a bedroom for them. You can't have a car for them. Can't put them through college or graduation. Many people told me I should not have more than 1 or 2 children. I couldn't have any. Infertility patient, you do not tell the infertility patient you shouldn't have more kids. When somehow God has performed miracles and you're starting to have babies and adopt babies, and someone comes to you and says, well, how are you going to put them through college? My answer was, I don't care. I don't care about college. Why? Because I am such a fighter. I am such a fighter for life and for freedom that I figured out there will be a way. And yep, there was. USANA. If I had tried to go the traditional way on everything everyone thinks you and I should be traditional about, I would have had 2 kids. All the rest of the adoptions and the miracle babies wouldn't exist. all the new little grandbabies wouldn't exist because I would have been listening to the wrong voices. Well, the same is true with our businesses. We can't listen to the wrong voices. And when you're teaching your new client and your new team members, you cannot let them hear the wrong voices. They have to hear you enough to start to realize and believe in this industry and to believe in USANA. Do you know that you have 1,100 plus people working for you at USANA headquarters and you and I do not pay them? The way that they are paid is our moving products through our distribution channel, which is your team, and moving them around the world. And even then, I remember thinking, okay, there's jobs and then there's these things, right? I don't know. Not today so much. Everyone's really savvy on networking. Everybody's taught you've got to build a network. You've got to build a global network. You've got to have a good network. I'm so proud of the newer training in normal jobs even. They're teaching that. But you and I both have relatives or aunts or uncles or grandparents or whatever that have air filters sitting in their basement or water filters. Uncle George has water filters sitting in his basement that he had to buy $5,000 worth of to try to peddle, and he couldn't ever peddle, so the network marketing got the hard rap. It got the bad press. It wasn't the network marketing, it was how poorly it was done. It was the ugly of the good, bad, and ugly, right? Here's how network marketing works. Very different from traditional. You have a vision. Someone has an idea. Now, most of them are not like Dr. Wentz, so I'm going to give you the non-Dr. Wentz story, okay? And then the Dr. Wentz one. The non-Dr. Wentz one would be that a few people are sitting around in a living room saying, we got to make more money. And one says, I've got an idea for a product or service. And someone else says, I think we should do that via network marketing. I hear that's the way for us to get rich. So that's about the owners getting rich. And that's about a new way of doing business. But for Dr. Wentz, it was very different. It was, how am I going to make a product that will change the way that nutrition and supplementation is being delivered to the human being, and how we can keep the human being healthy in this toxicity and day and age. Then he had to come up with, how will I distribute this product? Now, the other story, they would sit around and they would go, it's a better way if we do it in a networking company. They're still correct. We'll produce the products, we'll get a group of associates to be the people who train and teach about our company and our products, and we'll just do a really good job for them. They'll make money, we'll make money. Great idea. You know what? That's not wrong, you guys. Just because Dr. Wentz did it so much better, the network marketing industry is very sharp. If they could keep every company clean and really helpful, this is the only way to do business, because it is you and I and teams of people going together and not putting this in stores, not having that 90% markup. And those distribution channels in retail stores, they are marked up 75 to 90% on the products. Why? Because they have to come from overseas, and then they have to go through all these channels, and then they have to go from the wholesale to the retail, and everybody gets a cut. You've got all the big advertising. You've got to stock the shelves. You've got to have thousands and thousands of dollars of stock in your, whatever it is, health food store. Let's take a health food store for an example. And so stocking, and then you've got to have a way to move that product. Well, there can be almost nothing in the product because you can't afford to have much inside the bottle, because you've got to spend all the money that you're going to charge the customer on all the distribution problems. And I'm serious. I have some numbers that are not pretty that happen in that scenario. Now we look at the network marketing model. It's a good model because you've got creative ideas, You've got experts. You've got people with money that can put together, let's buy this equipment and let's get this company rocking and rolling. You bring in some experts, that kind of thing, and you bring in some field associates, and we move the products from that main house, that main distribution center. We move them to the public around the world. USANA being extraordinary at this. We have a vision of Dr. Wentz. We have a vision for changing the world. We have the scientist that's like the top in his field at the time, and probably much, much higher than that even now. And he's got the creativity. Robert Kiyosaki says, find somebody with the ideas. They've got 1,000,000 ideas. Find somebody with the ideas and tap into those ideas, because you're able then to earn your income by kind of piggybacking on that brilliance. And that's what we've done at USANA. You and I, the little guy, we're kind of piggybacking off brilliance. And Dr. Wentz, he really was afraid to stand up in public and speak. It was the only reason he wasn't jumping at the chance of network marketing, because he's a scientist. What if somebody thought he was boring? I mean, I love listening to him for hours on end, because he is so brilliant, and I've learned so much from him. But he was a little nervous about that. That's part of our industry, is the stage. Part of the industry is to represent our company. You and I, Dr. Wentz, the scientists, the leaders, the field, is part of the job that we have in network marketing, is to be able to, some of us take that stage, and some of us love it, and some of us don't so much. So we look now at the industry. You've got a fantastic USANA vision, a fantastic founder, not only an extraordinary product line, but you've got 75 plus scientists creating that. I mean, we're talking some of the top scientists around the world with huge backgrounds, and they're all together with their brilliance. And you and I are sitting in our little worlds out here. We're doing our thing. This morning I was at a parade with this little girl, right? I run in my office. I do a Facebook Live. I'm renting out my guest house. I'm actually borrowing it back today to do my my Facebook Live. And then I'm off to do the next thing, and I'm doing USANA, and I'm doing parade, and I'm doing USANA, and I'm doing guest house. I'm doing USANA. I'm doing going swimming with the little girl. That's very, very interesting that I can do that. But those scientists and all those other 1,100 people that work for you and me, they're at work. Think about it. They are working while you and I are playing, so that we can have a great product and a great company to represent. And when we work, and I'm going to tell you, when I work a lot. I love this business, and I set myself in this office or in my California office, and I have meetings, and I do business. But I also play. And it's because they set this up so you and I had freedom. They set it up so you and I could walk away from our jobs. They set it up so you and I could have incomes that are beyond our wildest dreams. They set this up, network marketing, so we could team up. It's so much fairer. It's so much different than being an employee, than trading hours for dollars. So after you have that B business on your paper, and now if you can get your debts paid off with that, that's, I think, job number one with this company and in this industry. Job number one is to take your products for free, get your auto orders paid for. There's no excuses. Just help enough other people that you're taking USANA for free for the rest of your life, which I have done since my first month in the business. Every one of my kids that's been involved at all has been taking free products since the first month of my business. And that was 22 years ago, by the way, just in case you're counting and want to know. And then the second is to be debt-free. And then the third, in my opinion, is to walk away from whatever you want to walk away from. But the B business, the point of it is to be able to now invest. Have you looked at the USANA stocks lately? I mean, I own a lot of USANA stock. And that's because I make money in this company that is above my value, way above. I am not as valuable as my income. USANA is. My team is. My partners in USANA all over the world, my USANA family. But one individual, no chance. I think that that's where we get hung up. We get hung up thinking that we aren't valuable enough, so we don't do USANA, but it isn't about one of us. It's about all of us together, and it's about what USANA has given us. Now I want to give you a few more pointers here. We have very few costs. I've talked about that. We have freedom in this industry. We have no cap incomes in USANA. We have the ability to be creative. We can figure out exactly how we want to market our products. Not only are we networking and chatting with people and building relationships, but building a network, a distribution network, but we're also building our marketing plan. We're able to build a creativity marketing that is however you want to do business that's legal. We're taking the best products and we're tapping into brilliance, and that's one of the reasons why we do what we do in this industry. You know, franchising and the network marketing industry all had to be legalized over 60 years ago. So in other words, McDonald's and Taco Bell didn't exist. They had to be legalized. It was weird and odd and wasn't a normal business. Network marketing had to be legalized. And there were some comp plans that I would never participate in. There still are. But those comp plans started this industry. Those business plans, those companies began to kind of break through and show us that there was a different way. And yes, USANA chose absolutely unique and different on products and on the comp plan. But there's about 5 different comp plans and blended comp plans. And of course, USANA has been so different, so unique, so powerful that before USANA, no one had ever heard of a company doing what we have done with our compensation plan. It's been brilliant. And the negatives aren't there in the comp plan. They're not hidden in the closet, and they're not hidden under the bed. Also, let me make sure, I want to make sure I don't miss anything for you. Hold on one moment. There's a couple things about our industry that I want you to understand that USANA has done very differently. And I'm going to just mention these in case I don't get this chance to help you with this in the future. But we do not have what's called stockpiling or group sales volumes. And it's an important difference from what is out there and has been out there. We do not buy $5,000 or $10,000 or $20,000 worth of products to stockpile when we first buy our business. We buy our own family's products or products for our customers. We do not stockpile. Everything is sent directly to the end user. It's not in our closet. It's not in our basement. And so when it's sent to the end user, that means that we don't even touch it. We don't write receipts. We don't run around town doing sales. We don't have to handle the products. We're paid by USANA, and they give us a tax statement at the end of the year, and we pay our taxes based on our income. So the difference is huge. And I want us to realize that we are not only in the right industry, but we are also very, very different in the industry, very unique, very valuable. The last one I want to bring up today, and again, I hope I get a chance to answer questions and talk more in the future on this subject. But we have a company of vision, and not all networking companies have a vision. Not a life or world-changing vision. They might have a personal life-changing vision for their own selves when they produce these products or for their company, but they're not willing to put in the sacrifice. Most companies are not willing to sacrifice what Dr. Wins has been willing to sacrifice. Most companies are not willing to put out the integral products. I know some of the times scientists, one specific one came to us, and he and I had a private conversation, and he said he was with another company. He's very, very close to Dr. Wenz. And he said, Patty, I always knew that we needed to do it differently. I always knew that we needed to do it better. But the other companies would not ever let me. Even though they were in the right industry, they weren't willing to put out the money. They weren't willing to put out the effort to go to the ends of the earth to find the right raw source for a product, to put 75 scientists into the laboratories to figure out our products. Same, they weren't willing to do that to make sure you and I make enough money to have homes, have cars, have college educations for our kids, have weddings for our children, and pay for it out of our own USANA income. Now, I've been able to do that as a single mother, and that just doesn't happen. So I need you to understand the tip of the iceberg of what I've shared with you today. This is about this industry. USANA inside of this industry is about moving products around the world in a distribution channel that doesn't require a store. It doesn't require huge increase of pricing when there's nothing in the product because we have to add so much expense and distribution. It's about integrity. It's about truth-telling, building trust, building relationships. It's about teamwork, you and I changing the world together. And with the whole USANA family, it's about personalization. With intelligence, we know that personalization is going to be huge. And in this industry, in USANA, that's where we live. You know, it might be an Amazon world, but it better not be for supplements because it can be very ugly out there. Talk about the good, bad, and the ugly. We want to get with our clients. We want to build clients around the world that love us, trust us, and see the results. That's our job. They don't pay for Super Bowl commercials at USANA. They don't pay all those millions of dollars to just be on, a 1-minute advertisement. Instead, they pay you and me. And that's the difference. So I challenge you. Learn about this industry, love this industry, and know why USANA is part of this industry. And be your incredible best when you are working with the people. When you're working with your clients, help them to understand that we love them, we care about them, and we have done business very differently because of them. We want the best. All right, I'm going to call that a close, but I'm going to actually answer your questions. And I just have to tell you that it's such a fun thing. I've got the most beautiful guests this week in my guest home. And if you've heard them in the background, that's okay. They are VIPs and they're having a wonderful time. So I'm gonna see if I can answer some of your questions and go ahead and talk to you a little bit. See if there's anything here. Be sure to let me know what helped you the most. If you're on this, be sure to let me know what helped you the most in this particular talk and training, because that's going to help someone else. Where have you gotten tripped up on the industry? Where are you having trouble speaking about the industry? How could you do a better job at maybe understanding it yourself? What books could you read? Whatever it is that you feel like you have, I want you to, bring that to the table. Thanks for being here. Each of you, thanks for being here. For all of you listening to the recording, I'll be answering questions the rest of the day. I'll be closing out this chat about late tonight. So go ahead and ask me questions until late tonight Mountain Time, and then the administrators have asked us to be sure to close it out at that time. And sorry you didn't get much notice today. I forgot to put out a statement about when I was going to be on, so thank you so much. Oh yes, the stock, Kay. Oh my gosh. Seriously, I've seen it split 3 times at least since I've been here. And from the time it split this last time until now, I mean, I'm expecting crazy stuff to happen. Yeah, it's amazing. Thank you so much to all of you. I'm seeing whether or not there's any questions. Oh, thank you also for the statement about so grateful for the USANA employees and scientists and customer service. Oh my gosh, I don't know what we would do without them. You know, once you hit Gold Director, so if you're brand new and you don't know, when you hit Gold Director, you're able to have your own like 20 VIP reps that work for you. And I only work with them. So I get mountains moved. I mean, it's like we call into VIP and they can just do anything. Pretty amazing. So you want to get to Gold. Looking for any other questions that might be here today. Thank you. Double checking, just double checking. Thank you for all of you. Well, I see no questions or comments. I'm going to go ahead and close down, and then I'll just be answering any questions later on today. Thank you so much. All right, God bless. Have a fantastic Independence Day week. I know we're all going to be partying all week long. So here's my party. Rev 3. Backwards. My Rev 3. Thanks so much, everyone. Love you. God bless.